The Movement number 4, written by Gail Simone, art by Freddie Williams II. So last issue, we had a whole thing where they went after a witch, and there was Rainmaker and all this other stuff. But the big thing was that Catharsis is being held underneath the police station, being tortured, and the rest of the team is going to help her. So when we are at the police station, there's a whole crowd of the movement waiting outside the police station to protest. So we see Virtue inside talking to the police captain. And she's like, oh, yeah, I can sense that you're angry, but I also sense fear because you're afraid of what these people could do. And he's just like, get out of my brain. You don't know me. And he chews her out saying, like, you do understand that if these people storm, people will get hurt. Like, this, if you care about these people, don't let them do this. He's just like, you should have given us back our soldier, but it's too late to stop this now. So we see that all of the people start to storm the Coral City Police Department, and the rest of the movement are hanging back watching it happen. This issue is the introduction of all the characters. It goes through all the things that they did and their backstories and all that sort of stuff. It's scattered throughout the issue. I will get to it. So next up, we have cop coming in, telling the captain, hey, they're storming the building. What are we going to do? And he's like, get everybody in riot gear. We're going to hold them off as best we can. Call the mayor, call the governor if you have to, and arrest the girl at the window. And she's like, what girl at the window? Because Virtue's already slipped out. And he's just like, crap. Okay, get me Officer Yee. And we see Yee is downstairs with Cannon torturing Catharsis. And Cannon basically says, like, you said when you were at my house that you were a cop. Who are you? And I guess I'll say this one now because it's important to the story, is Catharsis was a refugee, came over with her mother from Thailand, went over to Minnesota. She met a cop, one of the first people she met in America. He was super nice to her. So they had a Thai restaurant that they ran, but eventually she went to the police academy. She became a cop. There was a guy who assaulted and killed a young immigrant girl, and that really got under her skin, that he had money and connections, so he was able to get out of it. So she followed him home. She broke into his house and messed him up a little bit, left a few scars on his face and whatnot. And so she was kicked out of the police, obviously, for going full vigilante, and she joined the movement soon afterwards. So saying that she isn't talking, she's not giving up this story. I guess it was all just in her head, and Cannon is advised, hey, the precinct's under attack. You might want to get out of here. So he gets an escort out of there, and the cops are like, what do we do with the girl? And he's like, well, I don't know. She's the only one who can speak to your crimes if she's left alive. So that's up to you how you want to deal with that. Wink, wink, wink. So as he's making his escape out, we see that, God, why am I blanking on his name? The Rat Prince guy. What the hell is his name? He is coming in. He's going after. He sends his rats out to look for Catharsis. He gets held up at gunpoint, and then Virtue phases through a wall to be able to knock the guy out before he can attack the rat guy. It's bugging me. I can't remember the name. Anyway, so we see holding back and not running in, saying like, oh no, this isn't right, we shouldn't be doing this, is the Earthquake Girl, whatever her name was. And Tremor, I think, she was apparently part of a Bengali family. She emigrated into the country. She knew she had powers from a young age over like earthquakes and whatnot, but she was raised up with good money and she liked showing off. So she fell into a bad crowd. She fell into drinking occasionally. One night, her and her friends got drunk. They stole a car, crashed it, and she was the only one who lived. So she couldn't face her family after that. She felt such immense guilt. And as she was just kind of living on her own for a while, she was approached by Amanda Waller. And Waller said, hey, you've got a lot to account for. You can work for me to make up for it. There's this group called The Movement starting up. I want you to be my spy inside. So she's a spy. She's the double agent. So we see Virtue approaching Tremor saying, hey, we can't find Roshana, a.k.a. Catharsis. We can't find Catharsis. Her name is Roshana. And apparently they're getting intel that like the cops are pulling in choppers and tanks and it's all getting out of hand. So they got to get in and get out fast. So it's up to Tremor to go and find, or actually it's up to her to go and take care of the tanks. So at that point we see the rest of the movement have gone in. They start attacking a cop, like, and are going to definitely kill him. And so Burden comes in. He's like, no, don't. He's shouldn't be doing this. And everyone's like, dude, get with the program, man. The whole thing is that we're going after the cops. And so we get Burden's backstory is that he was raised in a small town. His father was like a very religious man. When he was 6 years old, he started getting the shakes, and eventually his father came to the realization, like, nope, he's possessed. And so he tied him down to the bed and started doing the stuff. And Burden was like, I wasn't possessed. I was sick. There was he shouldn't have done that to me. But then the demon came out and he's like, oh, wait, no, I was actually possessed. Okay, fair enough. Keep going, Dad. But eventually he knew that he shouldn't stick around. He couldn't be a burden to his family. So he packed up his stuff and left. And then the events of this book happened. So we see Tremor walk out to face down the tank, and he's just like, hey, the people in this building are my friends, and I really don't want to do this, but you're not leaving me any choice. So she puts her hand on the tank and just like destroys it. And she's like, oh, by the way, Amanda Waller, if you can hear me, I quit. So at that point, the choppers come in. She's not able to do anything against that. But then Rainmaker steps up and she's like, hey, you guys asked for help. I feel kind of partial to this city as well, so I guess I should jump in. And so she causes a huge lightning storm that takes down the choppers. I skipped over only one of the stories because I thought I was going to be able to skip over them all, but they were pretty integral. So I will just say the Rat Prince guy, whatever his name is, he was born into a wealthy family. One day his parents came home from like a show or something to find him in his bed surrounded by rats. His parents freaked out and were just like, oh, Jesus, that's not right. But he was always kind of a bit weird as a kid. He was picked on by bullies. He ended up biting some bullies. His mother just stopped talking to him and then became a complete recluse. So eventually he climbed down a sewer grate and just made friends with all the rats down there, believing that he was born the wrong species. So that's that. Anyway, we get the captain rushing his way down into the basement, asking all of the cops where the girl is until finally comes across Yi. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he really threatens Yi. And he's like, oh, she's down in the sub-basement. And then he punches Yi in the face anyway and says, that's for sleeping with my wife. So at that point, the rest of the movement have already found her. They make their way down to the sub-basement to save her. The captain is at the top of the stairway saying, hey, we will shoot you if you don't comply. Come out easily. Like, this is your last warning. And they all come out with a bloodied up Catharsis on their arms saying, like, we're going to call this even if you let us go, because you should not have beaten this civilian senseless while in handcuffs. How do you account for that, officer? And the captain's like, yeah, that's a bad look. All right, fine. This isn't over, though. This is the kind of stuff you can't take back. And he's like, yeah, I know. And you tell your boss, James Cannon, that we've got our eyes on him. He's a marked man from now on. And as they're leaving, Virtue turns around and says, and Captain, clean your house. It is filthy. So last thing we get is a news broadcast talking about the events of quote-unquote last night and how the movement sparked something all around America. We see Metropolis, Gotham, San Francisco. Everybody is fed up with the way that the system's injustices are. They're building their own little cells of the movement and stating their goals and such like that. And we see the newscasters say, some citizens, discontented with what they see as abusive, uncaring authority structure, have called these people quote-unquote heroes. For all our sakes, let us pray that they are right. So yeah, that's the issue. It's a whole bunch of introductions. It's really a short story. I mean, they go in, they save Catharsis, and they make their way out. That's really all you need to know. But then we intersplice it with the fact of here's where each of these people came from. Here's maybe not how their power sets work, but at least we're aware of like why they are doing the things they are doing. Mostly they're outcasts. That's the general thing. I do think that Tremor is the most interesting out of this. I hope that we get more explanation on that because it is a interesting thing of the fact that Waller had her eyes on this team pretty much before it formed, and then she is the spy turned native. So I'm interested in that. In general, though, I would say this is probably closer to a 6.5 sounds harsh, but I can't go above it. It's so close to being a 7, but it's just not quite there because it is just not a lot to it. It feels a bit bare bones. And while I appreciate the fact that we are getting this intro to these characters a bit in depth, it is very out of place in terms of story structure. Like someone just says, "Who do you think you are?" And it's like, "Well, let me tell you my life story." It's out of place. But I appreciate that we got it at all. So 6.5 for this. But we'll see if this one can pick it up in the second half of the series, however many issues that may be.